Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about The Power of the Daleks, written by David Whittaker and directed by Christopher Barry. However, all the episodes are missing in the BBC archives. The physical, you can get it as a physical DVD with animation in this really blocky style that I wasn't keen on. So for this marathon, I have actually used the loose cannon reconstruction. Although it is important to note that on the second disc of this DVD, we actually do have another picture and audio reconstruction with like the audio with like narrative bits in between. But I didn't watch that because we do have surviving clips, and in that reconstruction on the DVD, it actually removes any actual moving images that we do have, which I thought was pointless. So I've watched the loose cannon reconstruction, but I do have it on animation, and I have seen the animation. So there you go. So let's get into this. The second Doctor's first adventure. Patrick Troughton is fantastic. That's all you have to say. He's very quirky. He's very... The phrase that people normally use is the cosmic hobo, and it fits him really well. He gets distracted really easily. He starts playing his recorder, and he's always like sitting down with his legs like kind of crossed, and he's just... And every time somebody tries to talk to him, he's always like in his own space. But a bit as well with the second Doctor, and this story actually does very well, is he has like a darker bits that only slowly, only by moments show out, like how, like right at the end, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is 6 parts, so I'm not really going to delve into the plot in and of itself, but rather just a general overlay in which the Doctor, Ben and Polly, they go on the planet Vulcan. Yes, Vulcan! And this story actually came out the same year as when Star Trek came out. So they kind of came up with the same concept, the planet Vulcan. And they were both filmed at the same time, so none of them could have come up with the idea in terms of TV. However, the planet Vulcan actually made an appearance before in a comic book form written by Terry Nation and David Whittaker. So, yeah, that's just an interesting fact, that the planet Vulcan actually appeared in comic books first. And so, on this planet, they discover a small colony, and this colony have discovered a ship, and the ship contains Daleks. Now, the first time you see a Dalek is just phenomenal, and I've got to say, the atmosphere in this story is incredible. The first time you see the Daleks, they're like the dead Daleks, as the description says, they're like demobilized Daleks, shall we say then, and they're just like covered in webs in the dark. And the pictures are stunning, and then something about it, it's just the mood, the atmosphere, the music that they reused from the Daleks' first story and the Daleks' master plan really just brings out this eerie, haunting, alien atmosphere to it that really delves into what makes the Daleks so scary. And so, one of the colonists, Lettinson, he tries to resurrect the Daleks because he's like a scientist, and he's got a very interesting character. He starts off being fascinated with the Daleks, and basically he's annoyed that the Doctor's trying to stop him and stuff, but he really wants to get into it. And then when the Daleks come into life, they pretend to be the human servants, and he basically feels like he controls the Daleks. But slowly he starts to realise that the Daleks are the ones that are in control, and he's been used by pretty much everyone. And he starts slowly as well going mad, to the point where right at the end he actually copies their phrases just before he gets exterminated. But yeah, it's strange because you think, right, 60s television, you're going to have a scientist who's mad. It's going to be like a cliched mad scientist, but no, this character has a lot of depth to him. And he's not like mad, first of all, and he's not even like a bad person. He just has a huge ambition that doesn't have any regulations against it, so he can basically do whatever he wants, and that kind of drives him to his insanity. And just the slow process of him going sane to insane because of what he realizes he's done really, really works. But whilst this is going on, we have obviously the colonists, and there's this whole conspiracy with the rebellion, and they're trying to like overthrow the base's government, which is one of the weaker parts of the story. Not that the plot and all that is actually any bad. It is actually really intense how it all links in together. Like I said, with Linton, he gets manipulated by the Daleks, who pretend to be his servant. But at the same time, these rebels who want to use them for as weapons basically push him to resurrect the Daleks, and he doesn't know this at the time. And there's bits where the Doctor kind of convinces him that they're bad, but his secretary, who's part of the rebellion, she convinces him that his work must go on. So you've got that like interest that like points to each of these directions, and it's really just a really fascinating story. And then you've got like the overpowering of the leaders, as obviously they want to like basically dethrone it, the Chancellor, I believe they called him. And so there's like a whole conspiracy going on there with because they find a dead body. No, the Doctor finds a dead body, and he basically goes in disguised as an inspector. Now it plays into there's a big theme of lying, I've noticed as well. The Doctor pretends to be lying and trust. The Doctor pretends to be the inspector, and he doesn't really tell Ben and Polly straight away about that he is the Doctor. I think it's mainly because Ben, being the pessimistic, he kind of is like, if he just says, right, I am the Doctor, he's not going to get to him. So Ben's got to like slowly realise himself. Then you've got the Daleks, who pretend to be the servants of humans, but secretly are the bad guys. You've got a group of rebels who pretend to be part of this base's citizens, but really they wanted to overtake them. And yeah, there's this whole theme of lying and cheating and impersonating as well. So thematically, this story really works as well. And it's probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best classic Who Dalek stories, if not one of the best Second Doctor stories. His era really starts off strong, as before in the previous Dalek stories in the First Doctor era, everybody knows how evil the Daleks are, and like their reputation precedes them, kind of thing, and that really works there. But with here, we're introduced to a new Doctor, and we as an audience need to grow with him, and see things from his point of view. And what this story does great is it basically reboots the Daleks' reputation, as literally only the Doctor knows how evil they are, and we as an audience know that the Daleks are evil because we've seen them in previous stories. From the 60s, this is only actually 10 months after the Daleks' master plan, which is a really short gap if you think about it. So we as an audience see the Daleks through the Doctor's eyes, these pure evil things, and we know, like the Doctor, that these Daleks are manipulating people to their ends. And it's great because the Daleks themselves don't have a poker face. You've just got the eye stalk with the light. So there's no like tick to say if they're lying or not. So that the humans believe them like that because they don't have any face, recognizable face. But we as an audience and the Doctor can know the presence with that demonic voice and the eerie music, with the lighting of the Daleks, just everything with it suits. It just fits absolutely perfect. Also, I forgot to mention as well, the setting of the story, besides being on the planet Vulcan, is set in the year 2020. Wow, I can't wait for my holiday trip to the planet Vulcan, where I will look at some mercury pools and also meet the Daleks there and get exterminated by them. This is also one of the first times where, like, their catchphrase, which they have used with the Dennis Spooner parts of the Daleks' master plan, but here they have it's become like the massive screech, constantly like exterminate, 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 exterminate that we know. So I personally trademark the catchphrase to this story, because they do say it in the Daleks' master plan, but it's only like brief moments. While here it is the focus of some of the shots, and there's a great build up as well to this story, as we start off with 3 broken Daleks, then one of them gets resurrected, and then he resurrects 2, and then out of nowhere there seems to be 4, and then we discover that the Daleks are reproducing, and by episode 6 there's just an army of Daleks going on a killing spree, murdering everyone, including the scientist Lippington. So yeah, very, very great. And there's also this power dynamic between the Chancellor and this guy who basically wants to be the Chancellor. So he works with the rebels. He's basically the leader of the rebels. And it's great because he starts off all calm and collective. And then when he becomes the Chancellor, he basically becomes paranoid himself. And there's one point where he gets the Daleks to exterminate the old Chancellor. And then he kind of realises he can't trust anyone, so he gets his secretary to basically murder the rest of the rebellion, because they might overthrow him as he overthrew the previous guy. So there's a lot of build up and a lot of tension. By episode 6, like, all these plot threads are just really like into your mind. So it works really well plot-wise. So it's one of the best Doctor Who stories. Is there anything to nitpick or complain about? Byrne and Polly. The companions here get very little to do, where it's to the point where in episode 4, Polly isn't in it, because she gets kidnapped in part 3 and then released in part 5, sorry. And in part 5, Ben isn't in it, for reasons I cannot remember. And them two, when they're gone, you hardly notice the difference. Yeah. So, there you go. That's the power of the Daleks. Probably one of the best Dalek stories. And it's not even written by Terry Nation, it's David Whittaker. Now, as I am recording this, I've just noticed something really odd with the DVD. Usually they put underneath the title there, they put the writer's name, but they haven't. They haven't credited David Whittaker. So that's really strange. I don't know why have they done that. It's got the director and the producer, Ina Lloyd, who really brought a new light to Doctor Who with the new Doctor. And you've got the cover artist, Colin Howards, brilliant artists. I'm not too fussed on the design of the Doctor, but everybody else is perfectly fine, especially the Daleks. But no mention of David Whittaker, so that's really strange. I don't know if there's a story behind it. Maybe he had a falling out with the BBC years ago, I don't know. But yeah, anyway. So that's Power of the Daleks. Probably a very high place to start the Doctor Who, and is one of the essentials to watch. Just a shame that we can't actually watch it. Recommendations wise, I think the animation is fine. If you can get into the animations, it's good enough. But personally, I prefer the loose cannon reconstruction. Something about Patrick Troughton's performance you can't really contain in animation. So with the pictures, at least I can see his face and imagine how he would move, whilst the animation, he kind of is a bit stiff. Because Patrick Troughton's one of the most visual Doctors. As you will probably see later on, I don't have much audio dramas of his. In fact, of his era. In fact, I don't have any, technically speaking. But his performance is very visual, so it's a crying shame that his era is basically gone. But this story, just watch it. Just, despite the lack of visuals, with Patrick Troughton being one of the most visual Doctors, who inspired Matt Smith's performance, if anybody's curious, and Jodie Whittaker's. Just watch it. There's nothing else I can say. One of the essentials. So join me next time where we see our last pure historical, and we get introduced to probably one of the best companions in the show's history, Jamie McCrinnan. So I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon, where we will watch The Highlanders.